Welcome to Om Times TV, a division of Om Times Media and Broadcasting. Be bold, be brave, be extraordinary, be vulnerable, be real, be curious, be true, be you. Welcome to Trusting Your Gut with world-class energy intuitive Catherine McIntosh, a show designed to awaken you to enjoy the process of evolving, have fun along the way, and learn to listen to those silent in-between moments. You are the expert of your own life, and nobody knows more about the next steps to take in your journey than you. So please, listen to your gut and discover what's waiting for you to explore. Here is your host, Catherine McIntosh.
All right, my magical friends. So, welcome to today's show. As always, I'm so grateful to be here. And if you're just joining us for the first time, I just want to say if you don't know, we do accept live callers. So, one of my gifts in the world that I didn't know was a gift. I mean, I kind of did, but I wasn't really in a family that knew what to do with my intuitive capacities. So I shut it down for a long time. And one of the things I'm able to do is read energies, read pictures, read businesses, read contracts, and from an energetic perspective. And so I always take live callers, and you can ask any question you want. Just navigating this. There you go. And so, yeah. I love all of these people that always come in and say hello. So thank you for joining us on the radio show. So if you have a question that you're like, I would like some intuitive download about my situation, you're welcome to call us at 202 570 7057. So, kind of along the lines of what I was just sharing in my own upbringing of, at a very young age, found myself in the back of my closet as a kid growing up. We're talking 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old. I had all these stuffed animals in the back of my closet. And I would hang out in the back of my closet, and it was dark, right? It was this instead of a wide closet, it was deep and long in the back, right? And so there was this tiny little sort of cubicle type thing in the back of my closet. I'd hang out and talk to my stuffed animals. Well, little did I know that at that age, right, kids have massive imaginations, and children also have this brilliant ability to connect to things and energies and people that can't be seen. And so here I was as this tiny little child having these like channeled conversations with my stuffed animals, but it was actually downloads from my ancestors who had passed on the other side. It was channeled information from other places. And I would come out of the closet. And one time I was, around the age of 6, and I was told to go give my dad a message from one of his relatives who had passed on the other side. Right. And I went to my dad and I gave him this information, and it really freaked him out, right? God bless his soul. He's on the other side. And interestingly enough, he's been coming into my field and into my world quite significantly lately. My dad's favorite band was the Rolling Stones, probably still is from the other side. And I went to a Rolling Stones cover band this last weekend camping in Paonia, Colorado, and just like had the best time. This band called Emotional Rescue. If you ever get a chance and you like the Rolling Stones, they were phenomenal. Highly recommend them. But the point that I want to make, and the topic of today's sort of conversation is is this idea, right, of ending the need for validation, right? And I think this is a really big topic. And so, this idea of ending the need for validation is to break yourself free. Right? To achieve your dreams, to live your best life, to stop looking for someone else to acknowledge your gifts. And so, as somebody who grew up very intuitive, very psychic, and I used it in certain areas of my life. So, the easiest area for me to get validation and praise for my psychic abilities, for my intuitive gifts, was on the sports field. So, I was excellent at soccer. I knew where to be before the ball was going to be there. I knew, how to sort of shift the entire field with my energy. I just knew how to play the game, and I applied that in soccer. I applied it in volleyball, and I also applied it in downhill ski racing. And I don't know how I did it, but I did, and it was so easy, right? And, like, then in my adult life, it was like I knew where parking spots were. I knew how to get into shows and find, like, the best spot, right? I knew how to meet the band members afterwards. Like, I've always used my gifts in certain areas, but in the areas where I felt insecure and unaware and sort of like I was at a disadvantage. I dealt with depression, I dealt with an eating disorder, I dealt with a lot of areas, and the truth is that I was gifted in the areas where I was having the most struggle. And I hope that people can hear this. I was gifted in the areas where I was having the most struggle because I didn't know I was gifted. And so I was picking up information and picking up energies that were sort of the shadow side of the gift, thinking that I wasn't good enough, I wasn't pretty enough, I wasn't skinny enough, I wasn't sexy enough, I wasn't wealthy enough, like all those things. So I used it against me. And it wasn't until I went, wait a second. I've been looking for somebody to validate my gifts so that I can have my gifts. And what I know and what I deal with a lot of people from all over the world in all walks of life is this deep desire that everybody has to want to either be validated, to be seen, to be heard, or to feel like they fit in. And the truth is that almost none of us fit in, but we can create our own world. We can create our own reality. We can surround ourselves with people and energies who support us, who see us, who hear us, but it's not from a place of validation. Because if you're waiting to be validated, see my ADD, I'm like, oh, my pillow's ripped. So if I'm waiting to be validated before I'll show up as my gifts, I will always feel at the effect of my gifts like it's a problem, like it's a shadow side, like it's something to kind of like, hide from or be ashamed of. And I don't know about you, but shame has been coming up a lot in my world, not just with me and my life and looking at my past and my parents and how I was raised, my relationships, but shame in the sense that a lot of people I've dealt with, they tend to be afraid to share the things that they think are the worst parts about them. And I don't know about you, but when people are vulnerable with me, instead of feeling like it turns me away from them or kind of, like does this like opposite effect, what actually happens is those who reveal their fears, their most vulnerable pieces and places about them that they've probably spent their whole lives trying to hide, right? Those are the moments where I want to just lean in and give them a hug. I want to know more about them. I feel closer to them. I feel safer because they've actually revealed something that they feel is scary about them. And so now more than ever, I believe that if you're listening to this, you're probably have some form of intuition. You probably look to open up your world. You probably are constantly seeking information. You like the idea of being able to create your own life, but you might not know exactly how. You might not be super clear on your purpose, and maybe you are. But the point is that if you're seeking to be validated from an outside source before you acknowledge the gift within you, and by the gift, I mean, you might have a gift like one of my closest friends, the most phenomenal human being I know. And she has this incredible gift to make people come alive, right? She has this gift to make people like feel like it's okay to receive and be taken care of. And she does it so naturally, right? So I was the person, I've traveled around the world. I've taught classes all over, and for a long time, I would have people who would host my classes, right? And I'd put them, I'd teach in hotels or in, event centers. And these hosts would be like, well, you can stay with us. And there was always this moment where I was like, no, I don't feel safe to do that. I don't feel safe to do that. And one night she looked at me and she goes, I really want you to just come sleep over. And I was like, oh, I don't feel safe doing that. I don't feel safe doing that. But something in me knew that if I allowed her to host me in a way that felt safe, it would change my world. And it did. I said yes, had a sleepover. I got nurtured and cared for, and laughter and tears and tea and late night conversations. And it was just a sort of revelatory experience for me that changed my life. And so, for all of you out there hiding who you are from the world because it doesn't feel safe, then I hope this conversation resonates with you, because I think that most of us have been there without acknowledging that we've been there. We're all looking to fit in somewhere. And I could tell you from personal experience, from somebody who spent her whole life doing a really good job at pretending to fit in, you don't fit. You don't fit anywhere. And so, instead of spending all of your energy trying to fit in somewhere where you'll never actually belong, what if you spent your energy on getting clear on your truth, on getting clear on your energy, right? On getting clear on your values and what matters to you? Because when you embody your truth, you will attract your tribe, right? And then you don't need to fit in, because you've just created your tribe. You've created the people that make you come alive. You've created the environment that helps you thrive and be inspired and be nurtured and be cared for. And it doesn't matter where you've come from, what your upbringing is, how self-made you are, how successful you are, from all walks of life. Every single person I work with has this somewhere in their world, this like, man, I just want to make this work. I just want to make this fit. I just want to fit. I just want to find my purpose. I want to find where I belong. I want to stop, all the entrepreneurs out there who are working their butts off, right? And are just exhausted and still having to put on a face that it's okay. We hear you, we see you. It is okay. And the point is when you stop trying to scramble to make things work, right? All my entrepreneurs out there know what I'm talking about. And you start getting really clear on your values, on what you want to create, on who you want to impact, on what you want to accomplish and create in the world, on what you want your life to feel like, you will start to attract the people and the energies, the opportunities, the situations, and the experiences that allow you really to rest into. You don't need to spend your energy fitting into someone else's circle. You get to spend your energy being clear on you, so that then you create the world that you want to live in, right? It's easy to look at what isn't working. It's actually far more challenging to focus your energy on what is working if you're so used to spending your time fixing a problem. One of my favorite healers in the world, he used to say to me when we worked together, he would say, "What if there's nothing to fix, no problem to solve, and nothing wrong with you?" And I've been saying this for a while. I can't take credit for it, but I will tell you, when I started to shift my mindset from I need to fix this about my body, or I need to fix this about my business, or I need to fix this about my friendships, or this about my relationships, or this about my parenting. And I started to focus my energy, instead of looking at what I need to fix or what problem do I need to solve. What can I be grateful for? What can I energize? What do I like? It really shifted my world. And there's actually five questions that you can ask yourself every day. I've repeated these in some of the past episodes. So if you haven't listened to like the last four episodes that have been on here, highly recommend going back and listening. So the four questions are: what am I grateful for? What are my wins? Right? What do I want to let go of? What do I want to focus on and energize? And then what's my ideal day? And again, I've taken these, like Robin Sharma has done a version of these, Lewis Howes has done a version of these. I've heard a lot of other people talk about it. And so you can take these questions, right? What am I grateful for? What are my wins? What do I wanna let go of? What do I wanna focus on or energize today, right? So not you don't wake up going, "Oh, I hope to focus and energize problems today," because the more you focus on problems, the more problems you see. The more problems you get busy with fixing, and then all of a sudden your dreams, what you thought would be your dream life, you end up spending all your precious energy, right, on problem solving instead of dream creating, right? And so, to all of you out there, you don't need to fit in, you don't need validation. You need to know and trust that you are enough as you are. But here's the deal, get honest with yourself. What are your values? And how you know your values is, what do you spend your time thinking about? What do you spend your time dreaming about? Right? What do you spend? Like, someone might say, "Oh, I value peace and calm," right? They might think that that's their value, but in reality, if you look at their life, their trauma and drama in their relationships, their trauma and drama in their business, they're, gossiping about their neighbor or the planet or the state of the government or, the garbage collector, right? Or the milkman, right? It's like, well, then you don't actually value peace and calm, you value trauma and drama. You value, stirring the pot and causing problems. And so, for all of you out there, look at what you spend money on. Like, I spend money on learning. I spend money on educating myself to become a better version of myself. And that could be in my financial world, right? I like studying finances. It's the one I probably avoid the most, but things are changing in that department. I study relationship dynamics. I study, science and anatomy and spirituality, but in my own version. And so you want to look at what you value is basically what you spend your money on, right? Like, I love going out to eat. I value somebody else cooking for me. I love good food. I love good conversation. I love great environments. And I'm willing to spend my money on those things. Right? Some of you might really value adventure and sports and getting out in nature, which I do as well. You just want to look at, what do you value? Do you value being at home, creating a stable and comfortable home life? Do you value spending money, not saving money? Right? Look at your habits, look at what you spend money on, look at your behaviors and your thought patterns, look at the radio shows or the podcasts or that you listen to. Look at who you surround yourself with. Look at the clothes you buy, right? Your life and what you do on a daily basis will share with you, right? And give you a window into what you value. Some of you value fitting in, but you're fitting into the wrong cycle or circles. And at the end of the day, you feel depleted, you feel depressed, you feel like uninspired, you feel like, oh man, I'm just waking up and going through the motions of my day. And if you're seeking validation, you aren't creating your own world. I'm going to say that again because I think it's really important. If you're seeking validation, you aren't creating your own world. So let me give you an example. My whole life, I knew I was gifted at bodies without knowing it. So then I was pretty messed up in my own journey with my own body. I had body dysmorphia, I had an eating disorder. I still have body dysmorphia. I just know how to talk myself out of it. I know how to work with my energy. I know how to spend my time. And honestly, for the first time in my life, I have a very different relationship with my body and food. And I've done the work. Not that it was easy, but I did it. And so the oh, I went on a tangent. Let me get back to it. Oh, so when I started to recognize that I was very gifted at working on bodies, right? People always ask me, "How did you start your business?" And I'm like, by accident. right? My mother, when I was a little kid, would go, "Oh my gosh, my back hurts or my shoulder hurts. Will you touch me?" And I touch her in a completely different place. And she'd be like, "Oh my God, I feel so much better." And she'd look at me, she goes, "I don't know how you do that." But yet she didn't really know how to cultivate my intuition, right? Or nurture me in that way. And that's okay. My parents nurtured me in the sports. Look, my parents, amazing humans, amazing humans. I wouldn't be where I am without either one of them. I had a pretty messed up childhood, right? So what? Who hasn't, right? And I think it's all time that we go, okay, let's move on. Let's create a different future. Let's not hang on to the stories of our past or the traumas of our past or the pains of our past. Because a lot of traumas that we actually still have in our bodies are little traumas, little ones, right? Like, let's say, somebody looks at you wrong. Let's say, like, my son has a trauma from his nursery school, right? He his the woman in charge of the nursery school, the daycare place, she went out to the garage while they were napping. My son woke up and couldn't find her and freaked out. So he has this giant fear of abandonment. That could have started before. It could have been a memory in his body from a past lifetime. We're working on changing that in his world. The point is that some traumas might just be really small. Your parent doesn't acknowledge your hurt or your pain, right? Your sister smacks you upside the head. Your brother gets mad. Like, there's these tiny little traumas that over time sort of create a big impact. And so the point is that when I didn't know that I was gifted at bodies, but I kind of had an idea and I wanted to check it out. I was like, let me work on 10 people, right? 10 people and let me get their feedback. And so I worked on a hairdresser. I worked on like one of the, most expensive and well-known life coaches back in the day when life coaching was like a brand new thing. This is like over 20 years ago. And I just was like, "Hey, can I get your feedback?" And I'd work on these people and they'd be like, "Oh my God, what did you do?" And I was like, "Okay, obviously I'm onto something." And the more I opened up to my gifts, the more the problems that I thought I had with my body went away. And so when we have a problem and we're looking for validation, we're looking to fit in, we're looking for acknowledgement, right? I was looking for people. Now, this is after I realized that I was gifted at bodies. I found myself sort of in with a company. I was trying to fit in, right? And so I so badly wanted their validation that I was a really good healer, that I was really good at energy with bodies, and that through somebody's body, I could see their lifelines, I could see their past lives, I could see where they're stuck in their business, I could see where they were stuck in their relationship. And I so badly wanted validation from a few people from this company. And the more I tried to get it, the more I couldn't. It wrecked me. And so guess what? The less validation or the more I wanted their validation, the more I diminished the innate gift that I had. And so, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because if you're desperately seeking to be validated, it's probably a clue that you're trying to fit in instead of understand you so you can stand out and create the world you want to create. So you can surround yourself with the people you want to surround yourself with, right? Life ain't easy. It's been a crazy ride and there's nothing worse than being surrounded by a group of people and feeling completely alone. That's more lonely than being alone by yourself and feeling lonely, right? Or feeling bored when you're by yourself. The worst place you can be in, right, is to be surrounded by a group of people who apparently love you, surrounded by your loved ones in a relationship that you are loving, and yet there's something where you feel alone. It's a clue that you're trying to fit in instead of unhide you and be all of you. And when you start to unhide you, guess what? You give other people around you permission to unhide themselves. And when you do that, it changes the world. I know it's simpler, it's probably easier said than done, right? But the point is that validation, right? Seeking validation, you will then change who you are. You will walk on eggshells. You will people please. You won't be honest with yourself. You won't be in integrity or in alignment with yourself. And if you're doing all of those things, right, you are dimming down your light. You might be experiencing fatigue or depression or anxiety or panic attacks. You might be suffering with a physical ailment in your body. I truly believe that all physical ailments begin with an emotional root. And if you don't honor the emotional root, the physical ailment will continue to get worse and worse and worse. I think that most diagnoses at the root cause is an emotion or a trauma that never got released out of the body. And then we recreate that pain. We recreate that trauma. We recreate that story. And then we take the story to the healer or to the therapist or to the chiropractor or to the doctor, right? We take the story instead of the emotion that started the story. And I believe that the most toxic emotions that destroy our health, destroy our happiness, destroy our joy are shame, guilt, and anger, right? Shame, guilt, and anger, those three emotions, right? Right. And fear. Shame, guilt. Let's see, what did I say? Shame, guilt, my brain, my brain on the radio show, my brain on consciousness, shame, guilt, oh my gosh, fear, and there's one other, anger, the one that probably got me the most. And so if you function from those places while trying to get validation and fit in, you will simultaneously avoid those emotions. Right? You'll avoid those emotions in yourself. You'll avoid those emotions if they're sort of coming at you from someone in your life that cares about you and they're mad about something, they're ashamed about something, they want to kind of clear the air about something. You will avoid it. And I will tell you personally right now, that is something I am working on, right? I have avoided anger most of my life while also stuffing my own anger because anger felt like a scary emotion. And that anger came out in weird ways. And anger can destroy your health, right? Can destroy your mental clarity, shame, guilt, fear, all of those. They put us in a situation where we then try to avoid it at all costs while simultaneously being at the effect of it. It's a really powerful loop that most people really struggle to get out of. And the easiest way to do it is to really begin to get honest with yourself, right? Look at the emotions you avoid. And if you start to go, okay, what happens if I don't avoid them? What happens if I just sit? So, in my personal life, and I listen to Simon Sinek a lot. He's amazing, and he talks about how he was accused at one point in his life for being a terrible listener, right, from his friends and his close relationships. And he's like, "What are you talking about? I'm a listener for a living. I'm an excellent listener." And I was like, "Oh, I resonate with that." Right? I am an excellent listener when it comes to my life, like my business, right? It's what I do for a living. But when it comes to my personal life, I realized that I have a hard time listening if I think that I've caused someone I love harm. So I will get defensive, I will go avoidant, I will deflect, right? I'll do all these things which make me a terrible listener. And so I've been working on going, oh, it's because I don't like how it feels, right? When someone is upset or angry. And so then I'll create a story, my own stuff that I need to heal. And so I'm saying this to all of you because it's okay to be exactly where you're at. But if you're listening to this and something in you resonates, right, then it's about giving yourself permission, right, to no longer hold that avoidance of those emotions, to get clear, to get curious, to ask questions, to surrender the idea of controlling that which makes you uncomfortable, and beginning to open up a space where you go, you know what? I'm going to get curious about this thing called anger. I'm going to get curious about this thing called shame because I know that my shoulder isn't doing well, or my thyroid isn't doing well, or my leg or my knee or my hip isn't doing well. All signs that you're probably, one, trying to seek validation, two, trying to fit in, three, trying to people please, right? But four, avoiding the emotion that is controlling you, right? And once you go, okay, you know what? I'm going to make friends with this emotion. I'm going to be curious about it. I'm going to release it out. I'm going to fire myself from holding that emotion, from hiding that emotion, from stuffing that emotion. I'm going to fire myself from that job, and I'm going to let it go. Might be the scariest thing I ever do, but I'll let it go. And once you do, worlds will open up for you. So we're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned, and we're going to bring you more about this really fascinating topic.
Times TV.
Do you trust you? Do you trust your body? What if the key to unlocking the weight, pain, suffering, fear, anxiety, addictions, traumas, and sorrows was already inside of you? Learn to love the skin you are in so you can create the body, business, and life you love. Everyone always says you can't explain what Catherine does, you just have to experience it. From Hollywood actors to New York Times best-selling authors to some of the world's wealthiest and most successful, no two experiences are the same. For private sessions, online courses, live events, and the latest book Jack Canfield calls Game Changer and should be required reading for everyone, go to CatherineMcIntosh.com. KatherineMcIntosh.com.
Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. Om Times Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, Om Times offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an Om Times magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on Om Times TV and broadcasting it across the extensive Om Times radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. Om Times. Open yourself to the possibilities.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
All right, my magical friends. So we are back, right? Talking about what I think is a very important topic for everybody, and that's the need for validation. When you are looking to be validated, it means that you're not trusting you. And look, I get it. It can be so scary to go, okay, I have this gift, or I have this idea, or I have this business, or I have this sort of concept for my relationship, but I don't see any examples of anyone doing it out in the world. So let me look for the closest example I can find and then kind of replicate that energy. It doesn't work that way because that is a form of validation rather than an acknowledgement that you have something unique and different that you want to create in the world, or you want to create as your life, or you want to sort of open up. And it can be so scary to take that leap of faith. But the biggest thing that you want to do is you want to start cultivating not evidence from the outside world, but evidence from the inside world. And so when I was a little girl and my mom was like, "Can you please rub my back, or can you please fix my shoulder?" And I would do these weird things and she'd be like, how did you do that?" There's something in me that just knew. I was like, "Oh yeah, I can fix that." But as I got older, and that wasn't a normal thing, I started to go, "Oh, am I a good soccer player? Oh, am I a good volleyball player?" And the more I sought validation from others, the less successful I was, the less I let my light shine, right? And then the less I let my light shine, the more I sought validation, right? I'm watching my son go through this in his own way at 11 years old, right? He loves sports. He's quite talented. And I can see he's like, "Oh, I need validation." And I'm like, how about you work on your skills? How about you work on trusting yourself? How about I help show you how to do that?" And as he's been doing it, he's seeking less and less validation, and he's getting better and better at what he does. And so this is a life lesson for all of us. If you're seeking validation, right, it's probably because you're not being true to you. Right? You're not trusting that unseen, unknown, sort of explored world. And validation can be a killer. And when we're in that validation, we get stuck in people pleasing. And when we get stuck in people pleasing, we can drain our energy. It can impact our health. It can have all these detrimental adverse effects on everything we do. And I've been facilitating this, you know, uh, this group of people that anyone can join at any time. It's based on people pleasing, right? It's called People Pleasing, the Life Shift Awakening System. And when you get how deeply embedded you might be in people pleasing, right? When you're there, you're not honoring you, you're not honoring your truth. So it can affect your finances, it can affect your sex life, it can affect your relationships, it can affect your business, it can affect your investments, it can affect your home life. Like, I had no idea how deeply rooted people pleasing is in most people, right? We're taught not to be dependent on people. So then we become independent, but being so independent that you don't interact with others, like me being so afraid to have like a sleepover at my best friend's house. I was like, yeah, I don't want to inconvenience anyone. That was like an too independent, right? Also keeps you alone, keeps you by yourself, keeps you not being able to sort of co-create with people. So this idea of being independent, yes, there's a healthy side of independence, but there's also an unhealthy side of independence. There's a healthy side of dependency, right? Like little children, they need to be dependent on their parents. right? There's a healthy side of dependency. There's also a not so healthy side of dependency called codependency. Most people try to avoid codependency, but there's this sort of balance of interdependence, right? Of being reliant on people, on gifting and receiving, on being a contribution in the world, on being able to receive, right? When I work with people, most of us get stuck in one or the other. And a lot of people I work with, terrible at receiving, amazing at giving, right? And we work on it, right? We open the door. The point is if you're listening to this and you've been trying to find where you fit, my invitation to you is to get really clear on your own values, really clear on what's important to you. Look at your life. Where do you spend your money? Do you spend it on learning? Do you spend it on healing? Do you spend it on restaurants and good dinners out? Do you spend it on buying flowers for friends? Do you spend it on, other things that maybe aren't so healthy for you? Like what? Look at your values. Look at what you spend your time and money on, and that will give you a really good window into your values. And then you want to look at these 5 questions that I shared before. So the 5 questions are, number 1, what are you grateful for? Now, I do this every day, right? I got away from it. I went camping for a few days. I went to listen to a Rolling Stones cover band, right? and I noticed this morning, I was like, I got to get back to it. It's been about 4 days. But there was about a 3-week period where every day, these 5 questions. Number 1, what are you grateful for? Number 2, what are your wins? What are my wins? Number 3, what am I letting go of? Right? Number 4, what do I want to focus on or energize today? And number 5, right? Number 5 is what's my ideal day? And when you start writing these out every day, right? Your ideal day will give you a window into what you value. Your wins will give you an idea of what you value. What you want to let go of will give you an idea of where you've been functioning from, right? So maybe you want to let go of judgment. Maybe you want to let go of criticism. Maybe you want to let go of lack or poverty mindset, right? Maybe you want to let go of fear and thinking that you can't, or it's too late, or you're too old, or you're not enough, right? I was facilitating a call yesterday, and a woman on the call said, "Oh my God, this woman that's on our call," and she said it out loud. She goes, "I love this woman so much, but she intimidates the crap out of me." And I said, "Does she actually intimidate you, or does being in her presence invite a potency or power in you that you've been sort of intimidated by your own power? You don't believe you're that powerful. You don't believe you're that amazing, that magical, that talented, that gifted." She went, "Oh my, like never thought of it that way." So anything that we feel at the effect of, that we feel a victim to, is usually a gift, a capacity, an awareness, an intuition, right? It's also those places where if we feel we're at the effect of, we're a victim to, we will spend all of our energy trying to fit in, be liked, be accepted, find our tribe instead of create our tribe, instead of create our environment, instead of create our universe. And so you are not wrong. There is nothing wrong with you. There is no problem to solve. There's an invitation for you right now to start to get clear on your truth. And the truth is, through every phase of life, right? From childhood to adulthood. And sometimes in adulthood, we go through 10 different versions of ourselves. We have to constantly be curious around, oh, did we just have a value shift? Oh, did we change what we want in our lives? Like, I can tell you that a 20-year-old person's values is probably really different than a 70-somethings-year-old values. right? 20 something might want to make something of themselves and have the energy to create a business or create a lifestyle, where the 70 something is like, wow, I just want to like spend time with the people I love, want to pay attention to my health, right? And 20 somethings probably off partying or being wild or not really thinking about their longevity long term. And so at every phase of life, we're offered a chance to reflect on what's important and then change our habits, change our thoughts, change our friends, change our environment, change our lifestyle according to what matters most at that time period. And it's always open for change, right? So, for all of you out there seeking validation, it's a clue that you're trying to fit in. And the quickest way to set yourself free so you can truly achieve your dreams is to start to focus on yourself instead of trying to fit in. And I will tell you, when you focus on yourself, when you build from the inside out, everything else in your life will make sense. So try out those questions, those 5 questions, see what resonates, do it for like a week or 2 every day. It'll give you a platform to function off of so you can be really clear on what's in your world. If you'd like more information about the people pleasing, if you want to skip the wait list that I currently have and go right to a free masterclass I have, we have a link in the radio show description, right? Because it's specific. So go look for it. As always, thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us every week. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your emails. Thank you for subscribing. Please feel free to share this show with anyone you think resonates with, and go out there, keep paying attention to your truth, and don't ever give up on your dreams. One day at a time, my friends. You got this. Life is always a journey, and I hope you're enjoying every moment of it. Bye for now, and we'll see you next time.
Catherine is not a medical practitioner nor a licensed therapist. She has strong opinions and will express them, and truly believes that you are your best advocate for any and every area of your life. If you need medical advice, please consult your physician.